it says rotate your phone, you
can. Okay, I'm MJ.
And I'm AJ.
And today we're going to show you how to make
popsicle turtles.
Popsicle turtles. So if you picked up packets from us, you should have a star or snowflake looking popsicle stick. If you didn't pick up and you're just following along at home, you can either hot glue these in place or just hold them in place. We hot glued them for ease. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to make our turtle green. So you have two options really for that. One is to paint it, and most people probably will want to put down like a paper towel or a newspaper, but we just trust that we're going to be careful and that our table has good varnish and we can just wash it. What? Okay, then flip it up. Apparently you can't do Facebook Live sideways right now. It's going to flip it all the way upside down. Yay, technical difficulties.
It will flip fine.
That's fine. What's wrong with it? Oh, I see.
That's good how your sign works.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties. Yesterday it let us Facebook Live sideways. Today it doesn't want to. We at a better angle now, Todd?
Do you know that person?
Mm-hmm.
Who is she?
Okay, so you can do this with markers, or you can do it... Oh, the cat stole my chair. I don't know if you can see that, but I left. It was apparently warm. If you use markers, you're not going to have to wait to dry. Also, if you picked up paint from us, it is a permanent acrylic paint, and what that means is that it is washable while it's wet, but it's going to be a lot harder to wash off once it dries. So if your kidlets do get it on their hands or on your furniture or on their clothes, which I got it on my clothes yesterday, you just want to make sure that you rinse it off pretty quick. Some of the ones we found online, it had you using shorter popsicle sticks. We didn't have those at home. I think the shorter ones, the turtles are a little bit rounder and maybe a little bit cuter. One of the things that we looked at was if you wanted to, you could put the highly prized toilet paper and make a little lump of toilet paper under this, and that would make the shell puff out a little bit. Yeah, now what you gonna do? Painted ourselves into a metaphorical corner. Shout out to my 13-year-old WD is running our camera and being our cameraman for today. He's more excited for our craft for tomorrow. Our craft for tomorrow, we're going to make paracord bracelets. If you needed a kit to pick up, just direct message me. That's the easiest way for us to pick stuff up. You going to go wash off? Mm-hmm. Okay, Amelia's going to go rinse her paintbrush so that it doesn't dry on there, because that makes them pretty toast with this kind of paint. As you can see, for demonstration purposes, we've got one that's already dry, but the paint that we use in acrylic is almost completely dry. So by the time she gets back, your paint should be pretty dry too, unless you've got the younglings that like to goop it on a 1/4 inch thick, and then you might have to wait for a few minutes. So the next part of this process, you're gonna need your little yarn ball. It's gonna take, surprisingly, about 20 feet of yarn is what we measured it about. And as soon as AJ gets back, she's gonna show you how to do that. All right, so as she wraps this, she's going to show you. She's going to leave a tail about 1 inch to 2 inches long on the bottom. That's how we're going to tie it off. And she's going to pick a direction and she's going to wrap it. What did we decide? About 6 times?
4 times.
4 times. And then she's going to switch. So if you look at it, what we're doing is we're just going between every intersection straight across, and you go about 4 times and then switch. So in the end, you should have yarn going across between each of the popsicle sticks. And then once you've gotten that done, this is the kind of tricky part, so we're gonna show it to you as we go. It's okay. But what you're gonna do is wrap it so that it crosses underneath. So you go across the top and then around. Under each one of them. And now it's about to get real repetitive because you're just gonna keep going around until you get out to the very edge. And what we kind of did was we picked whatever the shortest, least centered popsicle stick was. We decided that was its tail. And if you have one that we set up, you're going to have 2 that are closer to each other, so it kind of does look like they have little legs. We picked a multiple colored yarn just because it made a fun design. You could also do several different colors of yarn layered in with each other. This is one that's great for yard ends, and AJ came up with a really good idea. She was thinking that you could do these little turtles with different colors for the seasons, right? So what would be some examples of that?
For fall, do orange and red.
And maybe do some Christmas ones that are what?
Red and green.
Maybe some yellow in them.
Yeah.
You could do a stand-up turtle for St. Patrick's Day, which we just missed, which would just be different shades of green yarn. And then for Easter,
Easter doesn't
pinks.
really have.
Yeah, Easter doesn't really have a color. The first time my family went to Mexico, we got to help release baby turtles out into the ocean. And they were so tiny, they were about this big around. And we got to go set them down on the beach and watch them scurry down into the waves. And these would be pretty big for baby turtles, but so the reason you have the little tail of yarn on the end is when you get to the end of where you want to do your yarn, we could call it right now, we want to go out a little bit further so their limbs look a little shorter. But when you get to the end, you're just going to tie it off using that yarn underneath. There's one right there. Hold it like that for a second while you do it. So if you see, she's wrapping it underneath. So going over, under, over. We haven't ever really done Facebook Live stuff or much with crafty YouTube stuff. It's been one of AJ's wishes that she could do her own craft channel. So that might turn into something. We were really surprised the first welcome video that we put out is at like 580 views or something crazy like that. We assumed that since we had one person watching it live, we weren't going to get too much out of it, but it seems like it could pick up in popularity, especially with all of the kids being homebound. And that's one thing we did want to just do a plug real quick. If your kids are home and you need stuff to do, there are lots of resources available online. I think the COVID community support page is doing a great job of promoting those. But just that emphasis again on, I went to pick up a delivery in Idaho Falls today, and I got down there and man, it was crazy. There were kids out riding bikes in big groups with their friends, and just made me realize I don't know that we all know or understand that the social distancing thing is really important, and we're trying to do this to help provide things for kids to do so they're not going out. Another thing to think about is electronic communication with friends is really great. We've been playing video games with our cousins, playing Minecraft. Okay, now what's the next step?
Make
Finger.
Oh yeah.
If you have a little teeny tail, we ended up with a tiny tail. It's a little easier to tie with the teeny finger in there holding it down. Okay, so scissors?
Yeah. Scissors.
Jill's watching.
Scissors.
Go for it. Okay, what do we do next?
You take a permanent marker.
Yeah, you could probably use a black felt pen if you had one of those too. Which one are you going to make his tail?
That
Okay, so that's going to be his tail. So what are you going to draw on?
3 lines on.
On his feet?
Yeah. On his feet.
And those are going to be his toes. Okay, you want to make sure you don't go all the way around in a circle, so how are you going to determine where to put the next one?
So this would be your tail and this would be your head. So then you go to the other side.
The first day we did these, we drew the smiley face on the turtle the wrong way. So when you look at it, just try to think about that the turtle is facing away from you. So if it's easier to turn it towards you, your smiley face is going to line up with the curve. Probably not on there. Okay. So this is a really simple craft that we did today. Tomorrow's is going to be a little bit more complicated and might require more grown-up help, but we are going to do paracord bracelets for tomorrow. So like I said, just direct message me if you need to pick up stuff to get that done. And then next week we're going to do several things that require paint. We do have little serving cups that we can put paint in if you need to pick up paint so that your kidlets can participate in that. Anyway, that brings us to the conclusion of our very first COVID craft video. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook Live.